Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, currently featuring Steven Universe, Miraculous Ladybug, The New Powerpuff Girls, and Archer. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Mel Moyer.
Hello.
Today, Mel and I will be discussing the two latest episodes of Archer, Motherless Child and Bel Panto Part 1. Bel Panto Part 1 aired tonight on FX, and Motherless Child aired last week. We discuss Archer weekly most weeks here on the Overly Animated Podcast. You can check us out at overlyanimated.com, or you can search for the Overly Animated Podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher. If you just want to listen to our Archer podcast, you can look for our Archer only iTunes feed on overlyanimated.com. As always, our Archer podcasts are not appropriate for all audiences, much like the show we are covering, so if you're just listener discretion advised. So yeah, we're going to be discussing two episodes this week. I probably want to focus on the episode we just saw because it's more fresh in our mind. Mm-hmm. And then we'll hit back on some key overall general impressions of Motherless Child. So let's just talk about Bel Panto Part 1 to start with. What were your general impressions of this episode? Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, they've done this kind of plot before, I think, but I actually didn't realize it was part one as I was watching it. So when it ended, I was like super confused. Like I got real quick. I was like, okay, it's a two-parter.
Yeah.
It was good. They brought back in Shapiro and the Veronica Dean stuff, so that's going to go somewhere. Yeah. They tried to insert some Lana Archer stuff again.
Yeah.
The baby is somewhere, I suppose.
Yeah, who knows where, but
yeah, overall I liked it. I feel like it was definitely funnier than last week's episode was. I didn't find last week's episode super funny.
Yeah, I wasn't big on last week's either. We'll discuss that later, but I can understand it. Like I looked to see the episode title, so I saw that it was part one. But FX does this thing where it has like very minimal commercials for the first half, and then the second half it just throws in a bunch of commercials. So I could totally see like it's like we still have 15 minutes to go. Like we're gonna resolve this episode, right? But no, then it's just like actual only 3 minutes. Anyway, I thought this was pretty good, this episode. I thought there's some good stuff here. I think the plot was interesting enough, although it does seem like a kind of typical Archer plot. I'm interested to see how this ties to the overall season arc. Last week's was presumably kind of isolated, although maybe there's a twist with that, with Barry and stuff, but at the very least it seems isolated for the most part. But yeah, I mean, I guess the Archer Lana stuff kind of worked. I'm not the biggest on the dynamics between them, but I thought it was okay. Like I think it's doing somewhat interesting things. I mean, this is an episode that featured a decent amount of good Cheryl lines, so I was satisfied at the very least in that regard. But other than that, I don't know. We'll go through it and we'll see what the prominent stuff was. It did seem a little bit general.
Yeah, and there was a lot of like weird sort of like I don't even want to call it like fluff talking. Like there was it was like filled in with a lot of banter in places, I feel like, just to push it to a full episode. Like when they were at the party specifically, like there was nothing really happening at the party until like the last like few minutes of it. Yeah, it was just a lot of back and forth.
There's no B plot. So I think that they definitely needed to fill it with a lot of typical Archer dialogue. There's a point midway through the episode when it seemed like they're doing somewhat of a typical dinner type scene to me, going through various groups, checking on everyone, having various dialogue between the characters. And I was pretty into that. I'm generally into those types of scenes. And I thought that there was a lot of clever stuff going on, and kind of the interplay with Lana and Archer was at least somewhat interesting. I think potentially this episode went downhill once we introduced the clown robbers.
Yeah.
I think that at the very least it was less funny. I don't know what your thoughts on that were. What were you like liking the episode more before we still got the like murder mystery twist? And it wasn't really a murder mystery twist. They just said it would be. Cheryl was like, someone's gonna get murdered or something, right?
I mean, it was whatever. I mean, when I first saw the clowns, I thought that's interesting, but then the guy was like very over the top. The clown guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that's kind of a funny concept to have. I mean, it's not really a funny concept. It's like the new Batman movies kind of have done this, right? Like having people in clown masks or various other silly masks, and then making kind of being kind of ridiculous, but they kind of weren't that ridiculous. They were just kind of played pretty straight, and
Yeah.
they also didn't seem super threatening, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like the way they're characterized, it's going to be like a thing next week with them. I mean, I don't. They were characterized strangely, and I know like they're like they're actual characters, not just these clown guys.
Yeah.
But one of them's dead, so
Oh, interesting. I just refreshed AV Club, and they give this episode an A. Wow. I will have to look into this as we go. An A, really? That is interesting. There was a point where I did think this episode was very good. Like basically right before the clown people came in. So let's go through my outline and see what we can come up with in terms of like quality dialogue and stuff like that. We did some quality phrasing. I remember that. So
I like the gonna be sucking awesome
gonna be
or whatever she said.
yeah. Let's go through. So okay, we start off with them in whatever the agency. I don't know what you want to call that. The building. Talking about the problem in the Mallory's talking about a problem. Was it Mallory? I think so. Talking about a problem in the restrooms.
That was one thing I always did like about this show is when they had like this stupid office banter and just random shit in the office that they were complaining about. Like that was always one of my favorite parts because I love dynamics like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that we got to see some of that here.
I don't know why Mallory's in charge of this meeting. Like, what do you like? What's her role in this agency?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Talking about how the towel dispensers, we slowly start to piece together what's happening as they're going along, climbing up on trash cans to do it, and then someone says wiping her ass on the towels. So I guess that's where we're going with that.
It seemed like Krieger was doing it. I'm not.
I mean, that's kind of
not
safe.
Entirely
I guess. I mean,
sure.
Pam was a good candidate. Cheryl's a good candidate. I don't know who else would do it. The rest of them seem somewhat sane, but I don't know if that's a fair assessment. But yeah, then we get Mr. Shapiro again. They talk about Encyclopedia Brown's that thing. I like how Cheryl just starts saying something, and then Archer one day is like, "Seriously, you gotta shut up." Which it's like, really, this is the breaking point on Cheryl's right now. That's
where we draw the line.
That's where we're putting the foot down. Veronica Dean and the Tsarina, the necklace. Ellis Crane's fundraiser, famous director.
Voiced by that guy from Seinfeld.
Okay, I didn't recognize the voice. Yeah, I was wondering who viewed these voices.
Yeah, he was Elaine's boss on Seinfeld.
Okay, nice call. Pam says, "Man, I had to run it in his face." Pam, I will stop, but I will not apologize. And then I like the scene of like Pam just like freaking out about what she's gonna wear to this like fancy fundraiser, and it's like played completely straight too. Kind of interesting. Remember anything else from that introduction?
Scene? No, not really.
Yeah. So we're at the fundraiser. Pam, Cyril, Ray are the waiters, and the rest of them are attending. Krieger comes over, and he's like, "Krieger, you're blending in. What are you, Otto von Gismarck?" I was gonna say Franz Ferdinand.
This is also an episode where like the anachronisms of this season, well, this show, like become very apparent because they're talking about that, and then they talk about Casper at one point, and then they all have cell phones.
And they also talk about what's that? Something.
They talk about Star Wars.
Wait, oh yeah, true. They do talk about Star Wars. That's to me, that's like the biggest connect.
Yeah.
Wait, is that okay? Never mind. We can get.
I came out in the 70s. There's no.
This is the 60s then. Okay, that doesn't work. Yeah. I liked Otto von Bismarck. I like Krieger just looking like just some like
not explained that he's just
German Bavarian count or something. Yeah, it's pretty great. Cheryl wants to hire a clown to spice up the. Oh yeah, that was foreshadowing. Oh, I see now.
That was my first thought when the clowns came in. I was like, oh,
I didn't even
throw back to that line
at the time.
Maybe she did hire them. She would.
Maybe that's the choice. Quarantined in the sick burn unit, says Cheryl. Oh yeah, they're talking about Commodore Perry and Maine, like a historical figure. This random actress, yeah. What's up with this person who comes up to like hit on Archer? and assuming he's like a movie producer.
Yeah. Yeah, because it seemed like it was going somewhere, and
Seemed
then it
like she was
wasn't.
important, but no, right?
I
Uh,
did like that little
that
bitch,
little
not
bit.
her, Archer.
Yeah, that was maybe the line. So that little bitch. Oh, you're way prettier than her, and says, "Man, I meant Archer and Dadoy."
Yeah.
It was pretty good Lana stuff. Then yeah, just Archer and Lana just being jealous at each other. I'm Pam. I'm supposed to be pulling tips, which I haven't gotten any yet. It was like such a dumb throwaway line, but I think Pam's voice actress just like
Yeah.
completely pulled that one off. I really liked
Yeah.
it. We interspersed in this, we have Mr. Spear getting mad at them for clumping.
She comes up a few times. Clump.
They're definitely useless, but at the same time, like they also Archer kind of just saves the day, or maybe we don't know what happens, but
Yeah.
totally pays off hiring them. Just having
Yeah.
Archer there. Yeah, Casper was the friendly ghost. We'll take a page from his book. Oh yeah. Then I liked the conversation. I guess there was a lot of good stuff in this episode. Looking back, Lana's conversation with the director, him hitting on her, wanting to make her like a PI consultant or something, BS like that, right? And then he's like something about her. Oh wow, it's a female lead, and he's like, oh god, no. I thought that was really good. That delivery, and yeah, I guess good spoofing of like then this time. Well, who knows what this time means in the show, but that's this was Cyril and Mallory talking. Yeah, Mallory's not even doing much, but how's Ron? He's great. How's nobody?
That was a good one.
Said Mallory.
The delivery on it was super.
How's nobody?
It's great.
Aww.
How's nobody?
Archer kissing Veronica, and the clown guys come in. Yeah, so they're okay. I think everything before this I was pretty into. Like to the extent where it might have been the highlight of the season, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Mr. Romper's the clown lead. I really just don't think the robbers are super distinguishable, or like that they just stand out from like playing them straight in any sort of action movie. Yeah. They don't even seem like super crazy. Like I don't know what's supposed to be going on here. Archer wants to incapacitate one of them and take his place. Luke Skywalker and Han Solo did it. It's a proven example. Yeah, it does seem does seem anachronistic looking back. Had to be the goofy pink one. If you see it coming, do it in your hand. Phrasing, can you do it? Can you do it for me? Inserts the phrasing right in there. In and out phrasing.
Yeah.
This is a lot of phrasing in a row. We'll talk about last episode, but
it was a lot of phrasing and not referencing. We had like that they were doing phrasing.
Yeah, it's just straight a lot of phrasing. I mean, it's done in interesting, like non-typical ways, but I don't know. Are you getting tired of phrasing or not yet?
No, because I love a good pun. And I do like some of the ways that they bring it back, like Lana's like need to do phrasing, like last week when she was tying up Archer's leg or whatever, and I forget what he said, and she like waited until he said phrasing, and she was like, "Oh, thanks." Like she's very into it all of a sudden.
Yeah. As Lana is maybe more into Archer now than she was before. Then phrasing comes with the territory, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I talked about this in an earlier podcast. Like, I'm all for them repeating the gags that we know, because if not them, then what is Archer at this point? Yeah. So late in its run. Could have just tied him up. Oh, yeah, because Archer just snaps his neck. Yeah. We've been tracking the morality of Archer this season, and he just
killed a lot of people.
Just kills someone here with no... I actually genuinely think they're going somewhere with this. Like, This was another straight commentary on Archer, just killing someone. Usually they don't really point it out, but he's like, you just tied him up. No, that only works in movies. He's like, oh, this whole thing with tetanus in Archer was tendinitis. Yeah, was this a thing? Like, it was the obvious.
He talks about it a lot.
Oh, he does.
Like throughout seasons, he'll like complain about his ears. Like when he thought like it was like back in like season 4 or something. At one point, he brought it up. And he was like in the middle of a conversation with Lana. He was like, "You gonna get that?" And she was like, "What?" And he was like, "Oh, is the phone not ringing?"
Yeah. Okay, I remember now. So I think it was interesting. That's what the fundraiser was for. Yeah. So, the morality of Archer. I really do think it's going somewhere. Like, this seems like another pretty prominent act from Archer. So I'm interested to see how this plays into the season. then we have the season scene at the end. What happened? 5 hours. If we don't get murdered, where's Veronica? Nobody knows. The cops are outside. Mr. Rompers let everyone go except the core group. So why would they let everyone go except the people we care about? Like,
Convenience. Plot convenience.
there seemed no reason that he would care about these specific people.
Well, it's just like one of those things where you don't like. It was a joke on or not Family Guy, on American Dad, that you don't release all your hostages. So I think it's just like one of those situations. I mean, I think it was like a joke,
I think they're
like
trying to
in
like
and of
spoof
itself.
these type of things, but
Yeah, I
it
think it
just
was a
didn't make
joke in
sense.
itself to be like, oh, here's how we got only the people we care about
Yeah,
now in the room,
yeah.
and like didn't have to animate the rest of these people, because I feel like animators complain a lot about having to animate party scenes.
I
So
guess. I mean, I don't know. I think it was supposed to be like a spoof, but I don't know. It
yeah.
seemed weird. And the bands is there. I did good stuff with the band. I
Also, it
think.
doesn't explain how someone was able to call the cops.
Yeah, because they took all their blue or pink or whatever, which one took all their stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, Tanya here has decided she's got Stockholm syndrome, and soon I will be Mrs. Rompers. She says, so that's a solid Cheryl gag at the end.
Yeah.
Super, pretty typical, and I like that. So I want to read. Okay, so the AV Club gave this an A. Let's read the either first or last paragraph. I haven't read it yet, but just together to try to figure this out. So this is from William Hughes' AV Club article. It took me a little while to figure out why I liked Bel Panto Part 1 so much. Spoiler for anybody who hasn't looked at the episode grade yet. I really liked Bel Panto Part 1. But it wasn't until the show explicitly called out the story structure that it was referencing, with Cyril reminding Cheryl of their ill-fated blimp-based choke sex back in season 1's Skytanic, that the connection became clear. That episode and its spiritual sequel, The Limited, work so well because they transplant the show's entire cast into a foreign, confined setting, a configuration that gives them A, new people to use in their ongoing efforts to destroy each other, and B, the opportunity to get into everyone intimately involved in the caper of the week. So I mean, I believe this is the one paragraph of the review. My initial thought is that you can't really like base an episode being good or not based on you liking its structure. Like you just have to like the actual episode itself. I do kind of get what he means though. We talked about how like there's no B plot, like everyone's there. We're not like sidelining characters, and I do think the episode was at its best when kind of everyone was talking to everyone. We were just going back and forth between everyone. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see when we chew on this episode more. A seems like somewhat of a stretch to me when discussing it here. Also, I'm not really a fan of them just throwing in random references to past, like Cyril's. We had I fucked you on a blimp or something, right? I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not a super big fan of stuff like that.
That came after, I think, the How's Nobody
Yeah,
gag.
yeah. I feel because then Cheryl was there just laughing at it, which is
Yeah.
great. It feels like you're relying on past episodes being funny to try to make this episode funny by literally directly referencing past episodes. I don't know. They do this a fair amount. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if it's stuff like phrasing or like running gags with like Cheryl and just Pam saying anything, like, and referencing like things that are a reference to that, like bringing up like the fact that her and Cyril like had that weird choking sex thing on the blimp would be like funny if it was something that was like inherent to Cheryl's character, that was like inherent to like the funny of her character, if that makes sense. Like it would be one thing if they're referencing it in a way that it's like, oh, like remember, like, you understand what I mean? Like I prefer things when they do references to past humor and kind of running gags, not in the sense of it being like as obvious as like phrasing, but like just sort of things. Like I love when Pam just is always like holding food or holding like the bear claws, because she just does that throughout
Yeah,
seasons and like eats the bear claws in a way.
I
And
think
like
like
you don't
callback.
respect
So like
that.
callbacks like that are good, but maybe not overtly.
Like this was a super specific callback that we haven't like talked about
Yeah.
basically since it happened. So it was weird that it just came out of nowhere.
I,
And it wasn't really funny.
I just don't like the concept of like expecting someone to watch, like, oh yeah, that happens. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I think it's you need to like earn your callbacks, and I feel like that's not earned or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think you grade this episode on the AV Club scale?
I'd probably give it a B minus.
Yeah, I'm thinking B, so I think that we're on the same page. Yeah, I'll definitely check out the full review to try to figure out why we give it A. So let's briefly get back to Motherless Child from last week, and I don't think we need to go
Oh my
through
God,
them.
it's funny because right before I watched this, there had been a marathon of Archer, like earlier in the day, old episodes, and Barry was in them, and I was like, yeah, what happened to that guy? And
Well,
then, like, literally,
he was in last season for one
yeah,
episode.
yeah,
So
for a hot
yeah,
second.
what do you think of bringing Barry back in this episode?
Um, I've always thought Barry was funny. Like,
Mm.
I thought he had funny stuff, and I think I don't know who his voice actor is, but I think he's got really good delivery. Um, it was weird that he was like basically full Terminator in
Yeah.
this episode, but um, I didn't mind it. It was random, but I thought it was funny. I didn't think last week's episode though was as funny as this week's, even with Barry present.
Yeah, I like Barry, but it was a little bit random, and I think the stuff with his mom was a little bit random. I guess the AV Club reviews was talking about how it like relates to Archer having mommy issues, right? And so they try to like
It does, but it like doesn't at the same time. Like you think it's gonna go there, but then
it
it's
doesn't
like,
really do anything with it. Like on a
yeah.
thematic level, I guess, but
She gets
yeah.
out on her own. Like she just crawls like, and it's not like there's no like resolution, like emotional reference for it at the end.
So that's the biggest thing I want to talk about with this episode are the Mallory scenes. So we just to refresh, we see scenes of Mallory talking to herself while being held hostage by Barry and escaping on her own. And then at the end, she like has this played for straight badass scene with like a trucker who's hitting on her. What did you think of these scenes? Did you have like a strong reaction either way to them?
Not really. They just kind of. I guess that was basically the B plot of the episode
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Mallory in the box.
Hmm.
I mean, I do like that they had her basically every time we went back, she was like getting a little bit closer and closer to escaping on her own. But I don't think anything super substantial came out of them. And like that's what I mean with them trying to play up the idea that Archer's like a super mama's boy because he like freaks out and he's basically holding his mom hostage and blackmailing him with it, but they don't really do much beyond the fact that like of course Archer's gonna like try and save his mom because he's a mama's boy, but they don't really make commentary on it.
Hmm.
Like even as they're trying to find Barry's birth mother. So I don't know. I didn't think there was anything sort of like substantial or fleshed out in those scenes.
Yeah. So I thought those scenes were super weird. And I don't know if I've seen this reaction echoed, but I did a AV Club review. Kind of thought they were cool, but the biggest thing with me with those scenes is that they just like weren't anything close to funny, and they weren't even trying to be funny. Is they were just playing it for straight like badass Mallory, and I don't really understand why you would do this. I mean, I think it's kind of cool to try to flesh out her character like this, and we've had a few like legitimizing scenes with Mallory in the past of her actually doing stuff. It's like the old the trope of like the boss who's usually barking out orders actually gets to like do something at some point and they're super impressive. It's her escaping, like, I mean, it was competently done, but like I've just rarely seen a thing on the show which was not intended to be funny, and I feel like when I was watching, I reacted pretty badly to it. I
Mm-hmm.
also feel like it was a little bit. I felt it was a little bit condescending to necessitate these specific played for straight scenes with our not supposed to be badass female character. It kind of felt like it was like, look at this feminist stuff. Look, Mallory's being fucking awesome on her own. This is so fucking feminist at the end, and I just wasn't digging it at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if this is an opinion that other people felt, but I just thought that was weird and kind of went along with the rest of the episode and not being particularly funny. I agree.
Yeah.
There were some moments. Let's go. I'm gonna go quickly to find some of my favorite moments. I see here an incredible Cheryl line, so I must point this out. Which is, I mean, we're lacking context as we go through this, but then why does Archer get to do whatever he wants plus morphine, and you're not even my robot supervisor? Said Cheryl. I love it. Just
I did think that was
the
funny.
supervisor kind of recurring.
And he was like, all right, everyone go to the bathroom.
Yeah. You're not even my robot supervisor. Yeah, we had the phrasing line. I believe there was some mention of holes. Sigh phrasing boom. I don't remember who said that. This is
Some mentionables.
sigh phrasing boom. Two different people.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
forget who said it.
Lana,
Though.
I assume. I
Lana
didn't.
was one of them.
I watched the episode last week, so I don't remember. What else we got here? Samuel Johnson tells us that puns are the lowest form of comedy, but for me, it's murder. Said Barry, I assume. I don't think it was particularly funny, but I thought it was notable, I guess. But we had I see transgendered frogs on the outline. I don't remember how that fit in.
There was one like in Krieger's pocket, but
Krieger's making transgendered frogs. Is that it?
Yeah, I guess.
Interesting. Oh yeah, Cheryl. Yeah, so Cheryl in love with Barry. Oh yeah, this is good. If you couldn't tell, Cheryl's like by far my favorite character. But Cheryl says Barry's about to violate the first law of robotics on my vagina. She says. I mean, we just do the same shit with her every fucking episode. Like she falls in love with the weird person and makes makes like kinky sexual advances and comments like this and gets turned on by the weirdest shit. But it gets me every time. Like I just like her in every single episode. So I'm not saying that she's like objectively the funniest character or anything. It's just like a personal favorite. Mm-hmm. This whole I don't know, this plot of Barry trying to find his mom and stuff, and he does, I guess. I don't remember even how it resolved, honestly, but
she's alive and he puts on Cyril's face.
Oh yeah, Krieger has like faces of them, and what's the line? And he's like, why do you have these or something? It wasn't for like, it wasn't. Yeah, I just Krieger having molds of all of them, very appropriate. Like I think that works very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think this is going to tie into our main plot of the season, or is this just a one-off episode?
I think it was just a one-off. Like I think it's like one of those things where Barry's a character at this point that you have to bring back once an episode or once a season rather.
I think that's very possible. I kind of hope that Barry's not part of the main plot. I mean, I guess we left this hanging. Maybe we could do something with it. I mean, we thought Katya was fake, or we didn't think it. Someone thought it was fake Veronica. So if Katya's fake Veronica, then Barry's totally going to come back. Maybe this was all a setup, something like that. Who knows? But it didn't seem like it. Like, it seemed like it was played pretty straight.
Yeah. Yeah, because he got hit by the car at the end, and it was fine, but it was funny. He like took a step
hit
off
by us. I'm okay. Yeah. Okay. AV Club scale. What would you grade this one with the caveat that it was a week ago?
I feel like I'm low on it, but I don't know because I want to give it. Well, I want to give it like a C plus, but that's like super low for me. I'm never gonna have anything that low, and I was like, well, maybe I give it a B minus, but.
I mean, if it's worse than
better, so I gotta I'll go with a C plus.
I mean, I'm thinking like C minus. I don't know. It was like a below average episode of Archer, season average, right? Then I don't know. So we've seen 5 episodes so far this season. I'm trying to remember what we thought of them. We're not super high on Motherless Child. We're decent on Bel Panto. We thought Deadly Prep was okay, right? We didn't think the premiere was that great, and we thought the handoff. I think 2 is probably still the best episode this season, with the long voicemail gag, and then this week's might be second best, although I don't know. It hasn't been an outstanding season so far.
Yeah,
but it also hasn't been bad. Like
no, and it's one of those things like it's like another concept season, so it's like. I think we have to wait to see what it looks like as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. Which is a little bit frustrating right now because we're not even close to the end. 13 episodes this season, airing until the end of June. So that's going to be fun. All right, let us know what you thought of Bel Panto Part 1 of Motherless Child. YouTube comments, Tumblr asks, or comments on overlyanimated.com. Click on the article. I'm Don Hysen and Mel Moyer, overlyanimated.com. Find out everything about the podcast, subscribe to us, etc. This ad-free podcast is brought to you by our patrons. You can support us, at Overly Animated or Patreon.com/overly animated. Thank you very much to Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Andy, Jamie, Rachel, John, Ryan, and Catherine, aka Hannah, Fever, Mitch, Canarsie, Beatrice, Christine, Nathan, William, Buzz Lightyear, Mailman, Rich Rose, Johnny Bravo, Brian, and Cookie Cat. Next on the Overly Animated podcast, coming out tomorrow, is our weekly Student News Roundtable discussing the recent trailer and new episodes announcement and spoilers. Coming up this weekend, me and Delaney's The Miraculous Ladybug weekly podcast and more stuff next week. So, last comments, Mel?
Nope, I'm good.
Yep. So let us know what you thought. What seems like a divisive episode, considering I see an A grade here and some more tepid reaction from us. So let us know what you thought. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Adios.